Is Syria a globalist setup? Like many of you, when I saw those pictures of those children that were gassed to death in Syria, it was horrible to see that. I mean, I couldn't imagine if those were my children. And but at the same time, as horrible as that is, we also must be aware that there is a globalist elite that are trying to suck us into all kinds of different wars. Wars in the name of spreading world democracy, wars in the name of this and that, but really they are wars to break down and consolidate the world into a super government, a one world government. And with all this Syrian stuff happening and Donald Trump bombing the Syrian airfield and so on, it automatically made me think of the plots and plans of our enemies. Now, this is called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Now, many people will say this is an anti-Semitic work, it's anti-Jew, and all these types of things. It is true that in this book there is a group of Jews called the Learned Elders of Zion that have made plots and plans to take over the world through all kinds of means of deception and manipulation and so on. But that doesn't mean every Jew is bad or that every Jew is involved in a world conspiracy. But it does mean that there are people that are involved in the globalist conspiracy. Now, not just Jews, not just a small group of Jews that are doing this, but there are also many people from other nations that are involved in trying to spread globalism. So, but when you read this work, and I'll put a link to this in our video description, when you read this and you see what's happening in the world today, it's hard to imagine that this would be a forgery. I mean, because all their different stratagems, all their different plans, all their different tricks are being played out before our eyes today with the mainstream media, with Hollywood, with the international banking systems, with the military-industrial complex. And so it is very alarming. It made when this Syrian stuff happened, it made me think of Protocol number 7, where it talks about how they will use, the globalists, that they will use wars to keep other nations in check. By that I mean anybody that goes against globalism or goes against their ambitions of building this new world order, that they would create wars, or they would suck nations into wars, or provoke other countries to attack other countries. And it says here, I'm going to read from Protocol number 7. They say, we must be in a position to respond to every act of opposition by war with the neighbors of that country which dares to oppose us. But if these neighbors should also venture to stand collectively together against us, then we must offer resistance by a universal war. Now, I believe this document here, these protocols were written in the 1800s. A universal war. We've had world wars. And guess what happened after each world war? We had the League of Nations after World War I. After World War II, we had the United Nations. So after every world war, the nations of the world have come together to try to form a government or a league of governments that would band together to prevent future wars. And so what we could be seeing here with this Syrian situation is the start of another world war. You got Russia's involved with Syria. They're not happy. Iran, Hezbollah. And then on the other side, we've got North Korea to worry about. We've got tensions going on there. I mean, it just seems as though there are so many different spots right now boiling up that could lead us into a world war. And it's interesting because the globalists don't like nationalism. I believe they did not like Donald Trump becoming our president because they don't want America to be separate and to be great, because that destroys globalism. They want every nation to kind of be the same and then unite under one, and then they can control everybody. They don't want one nation having too much power and wealth, and the citizens having time to become informed and so on. So it seems really odd that only a few months into President Trump's presidency that he is being provoked into yet another Middle Eastern war. I believe it's possible they might be trying to do that to distract him from his agenda, to keep us busy, to keep him busy, to keep him occupied with foreign affairs, rather than our domestic affairs of building our country up. There are people that believe that this Syrian attack, this gas attack, was not done by Assad, but it was a false flag attack by the Globalists or by ISIS or by some other group. Is that true? I don't know. Our Secretary of State seems to say the evidence is pretty solid that it came from Assad. But yet, I'm going to go to Ron Paul here. He says that it was a false flag. He says, Ron Paul says Syrian chemical attack makes no sense. And I'll also go over to an article that Patrick J. Buchanan wrote. It was titled, "Is Trump Enlisting in the War Party?" And highlighted here, I'll read this. He says, "Are we certain Assad personally ordered a gas attack on civilians? For it makes no sense. Why would Assad, who is winning the war and had been told America was no longer demanding his removal, order a gas attack on children certain to ignite America's rage for no military gain? Like the gas attack in 2013, this has the marks of a false flag. Operation to stampede America into Syria's civil war. And in most wars, the first shots fired receive the loudest cheers. But if the president has thrown in with the NeoCons and War Party, and we are plunging back into the Mideast maelstrom, Trump should know that many of those who helped to nominate and elect him to keep us out of unnecessary wars may not be standing beside him." All right. And that is true. A lot of Trump supporters are very upset because it appears as though he did the exact thing he promised not to do in the campaign. That is to say, get us involved in foreign wars that don't benefit America. I got... I couldn't help it, but I'm not going to pull this up on the screen for you, but you've got people like Graham, McCain, these globalist neocons that are always trying to get us into war, and they're on the sidelines cheering this operation that just happened. Now, that makes me wonder. I'm thinking, is that a bad sign if you have even the mainstream media and now you have all these globalist neocons supporting this? Something might not be going right here. Trump did say earlier on, he said no child of God should suffer like this. And that's true. That's true. No child of God should suffer like that. But should we try to police every tragedy that happens around the world, even if it puts us at odds with other nations? Even if it causes a world war? Is it our biblical calling to do that? And I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying we need to ask those questions. And he also went on to say, to his credit, he said that we are going to ask God for guidance and wisdom in dealing with these things. And that's good. That's good that he did that. So we're going to have to sit back and see. Maybe Trump was just showing force. Maybe there are things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and he's not actually putting us into another another Middle Eastern war or getting us involved with a global war. Maybe there's something we don't understand yet. So I guess we're going to have to see what happens and see how this plays out. But I will close this up with a proverb. Proverb chapter 14, verse 15 says, "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going." In other words, most people, the simple people of this world, they don't know what's going on. They don't investigate to find the truth. Whatever the mainstream media is putting out or whatever the party establishment is saying, they just say, hey, that's what I believe. Yeah. But the prudent man will investigate. And as Christians, we need to investigate. We need to see if things, we need to understand our enemy, understand what they're up to, and also we need to understand what our biblical responsibilities are as a nation, as well as individuals, and then try to make decisions or give our support based off of having enough factual information. Right now, all we have is the word of our all we can go by is the word of our intelligence agencies, which have members, which has globalists in it. I mean, they tricked George W. Bush into going to war against Iraq when they said there was weapons of mass destruction there. And then later on, that's been proven to be false. Then they said, well, they went somewhere else and so forth. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth. But even within our own intelligence agencies, there are people, there is the deep state, so to speak, that operate within those agencies that can falsify information or give a tainted picture of something that's really happening on the ground. I mean, could ISIS have pulled off this attack? Could there have been a chemical weapons cache there by ISIS, and when the bombs hit, they blew up and spread? There could have been a number of different things. Our Secretary of State says that without a shadow of a doubt that Assad was responsible for it. I mean, so I don't know what information he has, and if that's true, then that paints a lot different picture. But even if it is true, again, are we supposed to police every tragedy that happens in every country? Is that our role? Is that our responsibility as America? I don't know. That's a question we need to ask. Anyways, hey, be sure to join us live on YouTube every Monday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. On Mondays, we do line-by-line Bible studies for about an hour. And on Thursdays, for about an hour and a half sometimes even, we have Bible discussions where you can call in, you can disagree with us, you can agree with us, you can ask us questions, and so on. So please be sure to join us there or visit us on our website at ChristianOvercomers.com. God bless you. We'll see you next time.